A warm welcome to my fellow educators. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. To all participants here.
Good evening.
Special thanks and gratitude to AIEF and Matthew, sir, for providing us a platform to share our views. Matthew, sir, I would like you to speak a few words, please.
Yes. So first of all, thanks to Archana ma'am for planning this session. She is a very senior teacher in Don Bosco School, PGT Commerce, and now also an AIF resource person. And I'm glad that she has taken this initiative of organizing a webinar for all the educators, not only for commerce people, for all educators. So this is your first session on our platform. So best wishes from our side. And I hope that this is just the beginning and lots of more sessions will be organized in the coming months. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I request all participants to mute their microphones. Before embarking on a discussion on teaching techniques for new age learners, let us first identify the skills that are required by 21st century learners to face the challenges in the world today that is globally active, progressive, and digitally transforming. The 21st century skills can be broadly categorized into learning and innovation skills, literacy skills, life and career skills. Learning and innovation skills are the universal skills that are needed by every student for any career. They can be broadly divided into four, which are popularly known as the 4 C's. The first is critical thinking and problem solving. This skill enables students to find solutions to problems by analyzing, filtering, questioning the available information, and then synthesizing it to draw balanced conclusions. The second C is creativity and innovation. It empowers students to come up with new and original ideas so as to find creative solutions to real-world problems. Third C is collaboration. The skill to work with others with different opinions, perspectives, and personalities, the flexibility to compromise, respect their views, and work collectively as a group to get the best result. And the fourth C is communication. To communicate ideas, opinions effectively, to present information in a clear, concise, and meaningful way. The second category of skills, that is literacy skills, relate to digital comprehension. And these include information literacy, media literacy, ICT literacy. Information literacy is the skill to access information accurately and efficiently, to understand facts, figures, statistics, and other data that is available, separate fact from fiction, discard irrelevant data, misconceptions, etc. Media literacy is the skill to identify the various publishing methods, sources, and outlets that are existing. Also to identify those that are credible and trustworthy. Information and communication technology literacy is the skill to use technology to evaluate, examine, organize, and communicate information, to use digital technologies and networking tools that are so much and in use today and that are being evolved at such a fast pace. The third category of skills are life and career skills. These are the personal skills needed by students to adapt to changing circumstances. These include for the technical glitch. I hope we continue smoothly now. So we were at the life and career skills. These are the personal skills needed by students to adapt to changing circumstances. They include social skills, skills to interact and network with others for mutual benefit, the flexibility to adapt to changing situations, leadership skills to motivate all group members to achieve the group goals, and initiative to be a self-starter, the early bird to complete any work on time. Some of these life skills are inherent in individuals. Others may have to be imbibed in educational settings. An analysis of these skills gives us 3 takeaways. Today's students need to think out of the box, be technology literate and lifelong learners. Information is not confined to textbooks, but is available everywhere in bits and bytes. Education is not confined to the classroom, but extends much beyond to home, community, and to the world at large. In view of these developments in the educational environment, we teachers need to readapt. And how do we do it? By reinventing ourselves in terms of our classroom presence and interaction, using teaching techniques and tools to create an environment that helps in making learning relevant and engaging, and to don the role of facilitator, educational guide, and mentor. Benjamin Franklin aptly summarizes the change in the educational landscape. I quote, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." So the involvement of the student in the teaching learning process is essential for effective learning. As a step in this direction, in today's webinar, we discuss 5 teaching techniques that will help to involve the students in class, make them teachers kindly mute yourselves, please. I request all to kindly mute themselves.
Ma'am, can you please mute all the participants so that the background noise can be avoided?
You can mute all. Use the mute all option, ma'am. Archana ma'am.
Mute all.
Okay.
अगर ये किसी स्टेज पे बाहर ही निकल जाता है तो और इसका ऊपर जाने का जो चांस है वो है कि ये 15, 16, 17 ऐसे जा सकता है। राइट, तो ये ऊपर चला जाता है।
So today we discuss 5 teaching techniques that will enable students to be actively involved and be teachers. Please mute yourselves.
मैंने बोला क्या है?
Shruti and
There is
Sumit.
a one.
Ma'am Shruti and Ma'am Shruti, please mute yourself.
Automatic marketing.
Those who are not, yeah, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Archana, ma'am, please continue.
Yes. These teaching techniques are not standalone techniques. They are generally overlapping, and we may be using them in some form or the other in our classrooms. Today, we are going to do it in a more structured way. Also, these techniques can be used in offline as well as online classes. The techniques may sound complex with new age terminology, but we are going to do them in a simple way so as to make them meaningful and easy to be implemented in our classes. These are teaching techniques, not tools. Tools may be taken up in another webinar later, but today our focus is on teaching techniques. So let's begin. And the first teaching technique that we take up is crossover learning. As educators, we have to understand that learning does not stop in the classroom. It is a continuous process. It goes beyond the classroom. Crossover learning attempts to combine classroom learning with learning in informal settings, which may be outdoors or it may be on online platforms. And it is based on the idea that classroom learning can be enriched by everyday life experiences. Students can choose activities that may be interesting or engaging. The teacher can also fine-tune by suggesting activities to be undertaken or concepts to be read or researched. How do we go about it? The teacher may put up a problem in class. It may be a case study, it may be a project which requires the student to undertake an outdoor activity. It may be a trip to a museum, a monument, maybe the local nursery or any other field trip or simple online research. And the student learns while collecting information, taking down notes, talking to people, interviewing them to seek their opinion, their suggestions, or by reading or viewing online content. And this information, this learning is then brought back into the class by the student. So what is its effect on the teaching learning process? The students bring back the informal learning into the classroom. So the students are able to enrich textbook knowledge with personal experience. Since they are engaged in those activities or reading those concepts which are interesting, they stay motivated, and it also helps in better retention than when they are reading it from the textbook or being told by the teacher. Further, any learning beyond the classroom requires some degree of creativity. The student has to look for sources from which he can learn. He has to explore, he has to comprehend, and in the process, it helps to build his creativity and confidence. But the Most important is that it promotes interdisciplinary learning. For example, a topic for discussion in class, let's say an international organization like the UN or the European Union or a country, China or US. When student explores aspects in the informal learning environment, the student will cover subjects from history, geography, languages to economics. Hence, it promotes interdisciplinary learning. In this context, it will be interesting to mention that Finland, which is supposed to be the quality leader in education, the average proficiency levels of students there is much higher as compared to any other country in the world. So the Finnish curriculum is now working towards reducing the number of subjects to be studied on a daily basis, and instead they are focusing on taking up interdisciplinary topics where all subjects can be integrated together under the guidance of the teacher. That brings us to the end of the first teaching technique. We now move on to the second technique, and that is flipped classroom. This is the reverse.
Sorry, Archana ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
I think Deepika, this security settings, I think the waiting room has got enabled again. Just disable that, and I think Deepika ma'am is waiting outside.
Okay, sir. Can I continue, sir?
Just disable the secure this thing, ma'am, so that you don't get interrupted. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
So I have enabled it. Otherwise, I may face the same problem that I faced earlier.
Okay, as you are comfortable.
Sorry. Can I continue? Okay.
Yes,
So
please.
flipped. Thank you, sir. Flipped classroom is the reverse of traditional learning. In traditional learning, it is study in school and homework at home. And in flipped classroom, it is study at home and homework in school. So it is a blended learning technique where the student undertakes independent study at home using different sources. It may be viewing or reading online lectures or any other content. The teacher can give links to watch or read content online or recommend books or articles in newspapers or magazines. And the students, when they are reading, comprehending, they are analyzing from their own perspective. Thereafter, in-class activities will include problem solving, whichever way, presentation. For science students, it could be lab experiments, debates, or discussion with peers. So for example, in grade 6 or 7, history or geography, or maybe grade 10, civics, any topic is given to them. Let's take, for example, the Mughal Empire. So the topic is given to the students, and along with it, the teacher gives a broad framework. That is the subtopics that also have to be covered under the main topic. The students study it, come to class, answer questions, solve problems, or present it, or they are participating in debates or discussions. How does it affect the teaching learning process? It provides equal learning opportunities to all students. Students are encouraged to undertake independent learning. They know that they have to solve problems in class and therefore they are actively engaged. And it also gives them a great deal of flexibility in learning. They can do it at their own pace. They can do it with whichever medium they find comfortable, and within a fixed timeline, they can do it as per their convenience. So the direct instruction gets shifted from the classroom to individual learning space, and the classroom becomes a very interactive learning environment where the student is involved in applying the concepts that he has learned under the guidance of the teacher. How does the teacher benefit? It allows the teacher or helps the teacher to identify students who need assistance, who have not been able to comprehend or grasp the topic. It also helps the teacher identify the advanced learners, and the biggest takeaway is that the students are doing their homework in school, so there is no burden of homework. The third teaching technique that we take up is reciprocal teaching. It allows students to assume the role of teachers in small group reading sessions, which they enjoy. So here, the teacher first trains the student, helps them to learn how to guide group discussions in class using the 4 strategies, and they are called the Fab 4. Summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting. So the teacher will divide the class into groups of 4. It can be done online also. Now breakout rooms facility is available. That provision is there on most platforms. Now each of the 4 members is given one role. So one is a summarizer, one is a questioner, one is a clarifier, and the 4th is a predictor. The teacher first asks them to read a concept, a para, and at the stopping point, the summarizer has to highlight the key points. The questioner raises questions on the information that they have read, including the parts that were confusing. The clarifier attempts to answer the questions and clarifies the doubts, including the confusing parts. And the predictor then predicts what will come next. How does it help? How does it help in the teaching learning process? The students are able to improve their comprehension skills in all subjects, from languages to social science to science, even maths when word problems are to be solved. Students assume the role of teachers, which they really enjoy, and they are actively involved because they know that after reading the para, they either have to summarize or raise questions or clarify or predict. So they focus on their thought process while reading. They are analyzing and comprehending as they read. And they also learn the art of questioning. With that, we come to the end of the third teaching technique. And we now move on to the fourth, that is experiential learning. Now, experiential learning is a technique that has been very extensively discussed on most platforms, but I would still take it up because it is the most effective teaching technique. It is flexible and student-centered, helps to develop knowledge and skills, encourages critical thinking, helps in retention. Also, experiential learning covers within its scope a whole range of activities from project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, to cross-age peer tutoring, field trips, etc. Due to time constraint, I will take up one activity in detail today, and that is student-generated test questions. This is an activity which I believe the students will really enjoy. Normally, it is the teacher who asks questions and the students have to answer it. But here, the students are asked to create a list of questions. So the teacher, after completing a lesson or a concept, can divide the class into groups of 4 or 5 and ask them to prepare a list of questions as they would expect in a test or in an exam. In fact, the teacher can ask them to prepare 5 to 7 questions. So there may be 2 or 3 1 markers. There may be 2 3 markers, a 5 marker, and so on. And the students, along with the list of questions, they are also required to prepare the answer key. Thereafter, they present the questions in class, and it can be discussed. The other students can attempt to answer the questions. How does it help in the teaching learning process? Since the students have to prepare a list of questions or create the questions, they have to retrieve and recall the information or the content that they have learned, and they are also involved in a process of inquiry and reflection. The requirement of the answer key ensures that they will only come up with questions that they can solve, that can be answered by them. How does it help the teacher? The teacher can gauge the level of the class, their understanding of key concepts, the questions they expect, and also the areas that require reinforcement. Teachers, there is only 2 to 3 minutes left. So I will be posting the link for the meeting again. It is the same link. I'll be posting it in the chat box. I would like you to rejoin. Due to the technical glitch, it could not be completed on time. So I would request you to rejoin. Matthew, sir, should I end the meeting? Participants, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
teachers, I'm ending this meeting. Please rejoin. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So the second activity I would like to mention or take up now that I have time is the pro and con grid. It is another experiential learning activity. Here students examine, evaluate, and analyze a concept using different interpretations. Again, the students may do it in pairs or in groups or maybe even individually. So the teacher asks them, once they have examined, evaluated and analyzed a concept, they are asked to prepare a list of say 5 pros and cons. And then they are to share it in class. While they are sharing it in class, the teachers can bring to their attention those pros or cons which are common to most groups so as to emphasize their importance. And the teacher can also challenge them to justify their pros and cons with proper evidence or analysis. This is one activity which many of us may be doing in our classes. So it helps the students to be intellectually engaged, encourages them to take initiative. They are able to synthesize their observations using different interpretations, and it helps the teacher to know more about the students. The third experiential learning activity is mnemonics. To create a rhyme, an acronym, a phrase, or a sentence by associating educational content to any personal or relatable information. And there are different ways to do it. It improves retention and retrieval. It is very flexible. So as I said, it can be done in different ways and it is very effective. A simple example, individual goals should be SMART. So SMART is an acronym where S stands for simple, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for realizable, and T stands for timely. So that is just one method, and there are several methods under this activity. Due to time constraint, I have just discussed it in brief. We now come to the fifth and the last teaching technique, the most important, growth mindset. It is a new technique. It is still evolving in educational settings. But we as educators need to take it up as a priority to build growth mindset in students. It emphasizes on the value of hard work, persistence, and new learning methods, which students can use to improve their skills and their talents. Carol Dweck, a Stanford University psychology professor, talks about two types of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Students with a fixed mindset believe that their skills, their talents, their intelligence levels are fixed and can't be improved. So they don't make any attempt to do it. At the other extreme are students with a growth mindset who believe that they can improve their skills, their talents, their abilities through hard work, persistence, new learning methods, and they are very confident about it. Carol Dweck feels that students' perception of their abilities falls somewhere in between these two mindsets. And as educators, we need to steer them towards the growth mindset. How do we do it? By providing them multiple strategies. To view challenges as opportunities, take up new challenges every day. It helps you to grow. Prioritize learning. Forget about what people think about you. Focus on your learning. Focus on the learning process. Don't worry about the end result. Enjoy the learning experience. Learn well. Learning cannot be rushed. It takes time to understand, to comprehend, and therefore the student needs to take time. In the process, he may make mistakes, but mistakes do not mean failure. It means you are on the right track, but not yet there. Accept constructive criticism. If someone points out your weakness, work on it. Be determined, passionate, persistent to achieve your goals. Focus on your long-term goals. And once you have achieved a goal, set a new goal for yourself. That is what all successful people do. Once a goal is achieved, they set a new goal to stay motivated. And learn to use the word yet more often. Make them understand that every child is unique but gifted. And each will take their own time to explore, to comprehend, to be able to apply the concepts. Learning cannot be quick, and success is not easy. So they will take time, but during that period, they need to use the word yet. I am not able to solve these problems. The second statement, I am not able to solve these problems yet. The first statement is so negative. The second statement is more positive. So as teachers, we need to steer them towards the growth mindset. We can even give them a list of these strategies which they can use as a checklist. Tick the ones they have mastered and the ones that they still need to work on to achieve their goals. So that brings us to the end of this session. I have tried to take up teaching techniques which are very simple and can be easily implemented in our classrooms. As educators, I would like to emphasize once again that with the fast-paced economic, social, and technological developments, we as educators have to readapt. We have to change our teaching strategy, the teaching techniques, to use the phrase learn, unlearn, and relearn, so that the students are able to develop the skill sets that will help them to face the challenges in today's competitive world. And I would like to close with the words of an eminent German researcher in education, André Schleicher. A generation ago, teachers could expect that what they taught would last for the lifetime of their students. But today, schools need to prepare students for a more rapid economic and social change than before. For jobs that have not yet been created, to use technologies that have not yet been invented, and to solve social problems that we do not yet know will arise. And that sums up the urgency to adapt and adopt teaching techniques that will facilitate student involvement, student engagement, and student learning. I end my discussion now. Thank you. Teachers, I'll be posting the link for the feedback form. posting it right now.
Great session, Archana ma'am. Wonderful session. I really loved the way you presented the whole thing. Learning, relearning, that's what we were doing. No? So many decades of what we have been teaching, we are unlearning and adapting to new technology and learning so many things. That is the future of a teacher right now. So thank you so much, Archana ma'am, for bringing in so many aspects of learning, teaching, everything. And I am sure the participants are going enriched with this.
Thank you, Archana ma'am. Very clear and slow explanation. We enjoyed a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am has posted the link on the chat. So please follow that link and you are going to fill that. So this will not be posted in the group. So before leaving this, please click on the link and fill it up, please. So you will get it in your email IDs. So
Yes,
please make sure that the email is written and your name as you want on the certificate should be written properly.
I hope
In case-
teachers, you are getting your certificate.
In case there is anyone
Yes.
who's not getting, then the group is there. You can
Yeah,
always
ma'am.
contact.
If you are unable to get the certificate, please post it on the group. And thanks to everyone for your time and patience.
Huh?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
செகண்ட்ஸா அது இது சும்மா குங்குமம் போட்டுச்சு அதான்